Hello folks, welcome to another video here in the Microsoft Sim. This will be a first impressions style look at the aircraft on your screen. This is the recently released Cessna 414AW Chancellor by Flysimware. Now, a bit of a disclaimer up front, particularly for those of you that are unfamiliar with my style of first impressions videos. I know there are many people that do first impressions videos and many people that do reviews of aircraft. I don't do reviews, let me be absolutely clear. I don't. What you're going to see is my style of first impression, which means this is an aircraft that I've flown either for the first time or like almost the first time. This is actually the third time I've flown this aeroplane. And first impressions are what calls my attention about the aeroplane, good and bad. What that means is I'm going to miss out a whole lot of stuff, folks. Okay? This is not a review. It's not a detailed review. I'm sure by the time this video hits the channel, there will be other content creators that have more in-depth reviews. Okay? So first impressions style video. That's what we're looking at today. It's also important to note that this aircraft has been released as a beta, a recognized beta release, early access if you want to call it that. It's a little different than other betas in that you actually have to pay to be a part of it. And we're seeing this starting to come through. I don't know how I feel about it. Well, I mean, I've paid my money, so I guess I'm willing to be part of it, at least for this aircraft. But there is a bit of trust involved, a bit of faith almost, that the developer will continue to improve the product. It's retailing for $39 US, which is about, I don't know, 250 Australian. Not quite, but close enough. Which is not exactly cheap. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the whole paid beta thing. I don't know what the final price is going to be. The developer Flysimware has said this is introductory pricing without actually saying what the long-term pricing is going to be. That for me is a little bit, yeah, but I'm willing to go along with it for this aircraft. I like this class of aeroplane, and I like that we have it available in the sim. I don't know, on balance, how this first impression will sort of feel. Most of the first impressions that I do tend to come out pretty positive. I think this one's a bit of a mixed bag, but I'm going to be fair. I'm going to tell you my honest opinion, but as I said in other videos, opinions are like arseholes, folks. And this video is just one arsehole's opinion. Let me jump inside for you. This is the VC of the Chancellor, okay? And off the bat, texturing wise, it's pretty good. I'm happy with it. There are some people that I've read some comments that there are certain people that are not happy about certain aspects of the texturing, but for me it looks the business. I've read that there are people that are unhappy with that. See down the back there, it's like a mirror image. Well, the real aircraft that they modelled this one off apparently has a mirror at the back of the aircraft. I've not seen that in any real life birds, but apparently this is the case, and so the developers have mirrored the mirror. But look, texturing wise, it looks pretty good. It's kind of got that, older school type of feel, It's not that new plastic stuff that you get with some aircraft. It's got a bit of, how do we say, a bit of character, on the yoke, for example. Yeah, and look, it's pretty well done, texturing wise. Now, in terms of instrument panel, you get three different variants, I think. There's a GNS 530. There's this one, which is a dual GTN 750. Now, this is the free GTN 750. And then you can get a dual GTN 750. What's the TDS, I think it's called? The sort of fancy GTN 750 that we have now. Yeah, and you change the panel by changing the livery of the aircraft. That's kind of how it works. I like this model. Let me try and get some. Some power into the aircraft for you. Where's the avionics master? That's not that one, is it? It's this one. Avionics bus down here. Yeah. So there is some configuration options. You also get a tablet, which looks like that. Let me see if I can change my view, right? So you can configure your equipment and your doors and that sort of stuff. I might shut everything up, get rid of chocks, tie downs, and pitos. The GPU, let me click that on for you. I find it really loud. Right, so it brings you a little GPU cart. Right, it kind of the cables gets buried in the tarmac a little bit. I haven't noticed that before. Yeah, it's just it's a little bit loud for my ears. I'm going to get rid of that. Aircraft states I don't think work. I've not used the rudder lock. You can show the co-pilot. I'm not going to do that. Maintenance wise, go outside. We should have the fuel caps popped, do we? We do. If we can zoom in right there where that mouse is, where the cursor is, we've got our fuel caps popped. Yeah, look, I like these things as an option. I don't really use a lot of it, to be perfectly frank. Then you've got a wind speed display and your T's and P's and stuff. And then you've got, now I think you're meant to be able to jump, yeah, right, to specific points to do a pre-flight. So, you know, we've seen this in other sims in recent years. And if that's your thing, fantastic. The only problem here is that how do you get back? Like, how do you keep going? Get back or keep going? So you have to jump back inside, right? So where was I? I have no idea. I'm going to go out to the outer. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you need to be able to pop that up and have it available here on the screen. Just my opinion. I think it's great. Congrats to the developer for building it in. It's just, for me, not overly practical. Yeah, so pre-flight checklist. I don't think these work. I'm guessing that's what you'll be able to click that and the checklist pops up. That's my guess. So as I said at the start, this is a beta. We'll get rid of that. It is a beta, and the developers have asked that anyone making a video does mention that. So I've mentioned it several times. What I'll do is I'll get it started. Actually, before I get it started, let me show you where we are in the world. It's a shortish flight. It's an FS economy run. Let me show you what the flight plan is. Then I'll get us started. Then we'll go flying, and I'll explore some of the first impressions, or the impressions that have been made on me about this aircraft, for what it's worth. Okay, but remember, not a review. I'm going to miss out a whole lot of stuff. Let's go to the flight plan. All right, so here we are over in little nav map. So we're in Brazil, folks. We begin our journey down in Sao Paulo, specifically Guarulhos Airport, the main international airport for this part of the world. We're going to fly a SID off of 09 left, and then sort of head in a northeasterly direction up to a place called Passos. I think I've got that right. Passos. I hope I've got that right. I hope I've got the pronunciations right. I should probably apologise to my Brazilian friends in advance. I'm sure that I will make numerous mistakes. Flight of about 175 nautical miles. So a decent run in this aircraft. Flight time, that's probably going to take us the best part of an hour, really. And we'll get up to about 15,000. That's the plan. So that's the flight. It looks like we've got, that's the plan. Looks like we've got a little bit of weather around. So that could provide some challenge for us. But an IFR flight from Guarulhos to Passos, flight level 150, Chancellor 414A. Let's do it. All right, so back on board. So let me be very clear here. I'm not going to follow a checklist in terms of starting this beast up. Okay, I'm gonna do what's worked the last two flights, folks. This is not a video for the purists. not a channel for the purists. So don't follow my lead if you want to actually learn how to fly this thing properly. But I'm going to show you what works for me, at least. One of the things I like about this aircraft is its lighting configuration, right? It looks pretty good. We have a pretty dark day here, so we'll be able to sort of see some of the lighting in effect. But it's a nice place to be. The VC is a nice place to be at night. Let me put it that way. So congrats to the developer for the lighting. You can tell that there's been a fair bit of work put in to that aspect. So fuel wise, we need to make sure that the fuel's on, right main. A little bit of a challenge here to move around, and the arrows kind of point in the opposite direction to where the switches go. That's what I've noticed. It's kind of a general rule across this aircraft. I think other people have picked it up as well. So over here are most of the switches. So we've got the master on, we've got the avionics bus on. The mags are up here. These are the fuel pumps. So again, the wrong way. You sort of, the arrow, you see how the cursor's pointing up, but the switch actually comes to the back. Yeah, quite loud, those pumps too. A little bit too loud. The sounds in the aircraft are a mixed bag. I like some of it, and there's other aspects of it which I don't think are that great. So this will be priming the right-hand engine, and let's see how we go here. Probably need to get the mags on. Right, there we've got start. You can tell, folks, no checklist. Right engine start. That's pretty good. We got that fuel pump off. Left pump on, mags onto, we'll prime. Start the left. You see the prop turning out the window there. We've got engine start. There we go. We've got some. We should have put some lights on. We'll get a nav. We'll get a taxi on in a minute. I won't worry about any of the heating at the moment. Righto, we've got our pressure set. We'll get some aircon circulating. I don't know whether the oxygen system is modelled. I don't think so. It tends to maintain full tanks or close enough to it. Yeah, we've got local barrow set, do we? Yeah, 24. So our two GTNs are in sync. That's our flight plan. Just came out a little nav map. The SID to start, then we've got the en route. We don't have an approach plugged into Passos. This is the autopilot, the transponder, of course. All your engine instrumentation across the top there. Fuel flow meter. So one thing you'll notice about this aircraft, if you decide to purchase it, is that the fuel flow is way overstated. Like, it burns twice as much as it should. So what I did, I noticed that in the first flight, FS economy flight, when I was trying to do a 900-mile flight and ran out of gas after about 400. So what I did is I went in and changed the config file, changed the fuel flow. I'll show you that during the flight. I also changed something else around the mixture control. Changed it to be auto mixture on for this aircraft only. Easy changes to make. I don't know why the developer didn't do that themselves, particularly when they call out the fact that you've got to run this aircraft with auto mixture set, because of the faults, the issues with mixture in the sim, inherent to the sim. So why not just put that in your config file? I don't get that. And the fuel flow, I just can't work out how. I know this is beta, but the fuel flows are way out of whack compared to what this aircraft should have. So yeah, it's going to be a mixed bag first impressions video, folks. That's all I can say. What else do we need to worry about? So an altitude alerter. So we're going to plug in 150, didn't we say? So this will be your altitude select down here. You've got to make sure you arm it by clicking this little button. We'll do that once we're airborne. It will hold an altitude, although it people have reported it holds the wrong altitude. There are issues with the autopilot, and I'll link to the page where all of the issues are kind of being captured. I'm not going to go through them all here. I haven't noticed them all personally, but I've noticed a few things. So I'm going to call out what I've noticed, and then you can look at the page and see what other people have noticed. And hopefully the developer is paying attention. Let me go outside, have a listen to it. Mentioned the sounds for me are a mixed bag. There are people that like the sound. Let me go back inside. There are people that like it. I like some of it. It's probably the best way. Is the best assessment I could give. Some of it. We've got the parking brake off. We've got the taxi light on. I think so. We're going to leave the lights on because it is quite a dark sort of day. A little bit of right boot to get us around. Try and miss that Kodiak on the right. I'm going to taxi down to the bottom of 09er left. There's an aircraft landed on 09er right. And we'll make our way down here. Sorry about that. So taxiing wise, it feels kind of, I think it feels like this aircraft should. The size of aircraft, the weight. But you see that sound? You hear it. It's like, I think someone described it as like you're carrying a block of concrete behind you. You're dragging a block of concrete. The ground roll, it's overcooked. It's quite annoying, to be honest. Unfortunately, we've got a bit of a long taxi here, so you'll have to put up with it. But yeah, don't like it. It kind of dominates the soundscape. You're not hearing much. Yeah, it dominates. That's what I'm trying to say. I will take a right here. And cross 09 on right. Which is this one here. Take a quick look to the left, make sure no aircraft are on final. There are no aircraft on final. And then we'll get ourselves sorted over here. 09er left. Light breeze by the looks of it. Alright, so we'll just pull up here. I'll get my controller's situation sorted. Pull up here, so we go flaps. Trims will be okay. Trim set for takeoff, we're all good. We'll go landing lights on. We won't worry about pitot or anything at the moment. Everything else I think is pretty good. We'll go altitude on the transponder. Those views sorted out. Here we go. Get our heading bug starting to align. It's our runway heading. Nice long runways here at Guarulhos. Lots of activity, AI, traffic. What's happening? Very busy strip. Alright, we'll line up, wait for that jet to depart. We'll get off the runway, which it looks like it has. Right, our first... Now, another thing you'll notice is that the needle doesn't line up with our track and the GPS. So first, our first waypoint off this runway is 090, right? And you have to actually manually do that. As far as I know, if someone knows a way of actually getting those things to sync with the GPS track, let me know. Otherwise, I've been doing it. I've been doing it manually. Okay, let's do it. Introduce the juice. Airspeed's alive. Hear that ground roll? It's a bit much. There's 90 knots. And away we go. Beautiful. Aussie rate gear up. That's a long runway, isn't it? I'll even get the flaps coming in as well. Make on the juice just a little bit. Maintaining runway heading. She's very stable in flight, and that almost too stable at times, I feel. But I've had to change the controller sensitivities and stuff. It was a little bit sketchy out of the box, so I may have gone too far in making it too docile. That's my bad. I'm trying to introduce some weight to the aircraft. But yeah, I may have changed what the developer actually intended. Alright, the first waypoint. We'll make a left-hand turn now. Yeah, a bit of a wet day here in Sao Paulo by the looks of it. Out over the hills, continue our climb. So I've been trying to climb at sort of 120, 130 knots. I don't know what the best rate is, but that gives me a pretty decent climb performance. I'm getting almost 1,500 feet a minute at 130. And here's where you have to, manually change your needle. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll go flight director, and we'll go autopilot, which will hold us in roll and pitch mode. We'll bring our heading bug around. We'll sort of fly a heading hold, which is that one. And if you do that, it'll maintain its current vertical speed, right? Now, what it won't do is capture 15,000 unless you arm it, which is to hit that button there. And then you go to Alt S, altitude selected, and then it will climb, theoretically, to 15,000 and then hold it. So we can change our heading bug, and the autopilot should follow that. We're up into the muck. Probably want to look at some heating. We can get the landing light to come off, and the taxi as well. We should be pressurising. We should be pressurising. It is on pressurise. We're not yet pressurising. Okay. We'll go into nav hold now. We're going to intercept the magenta. There is our flight plan, which looks kind of weird, right? That's not what I had in the over in little nav map. It's taking us way off track there. So GR223, bugger that. I want to go direct Vunox. Direct Vunox, please. Vunox. Can I go direct? Vunox. Over here. Activate. Direct Vunox. Thank you. That's going to save us a little bit of time. Go outside, take a view. Yeah, oof. Menacing weather. Have a look at that. There she is. On climb. I'll just let you listen to that for a bit. Alright folks, I'm going to continue the climb. I'll get us into the cruise and I'll rejoin you en route to Passos. So we're just nearing top of climb, folks. En route Passos. What you're seeing on your screen at the moment is a config file, the engines.cfg that comes with the aircraft. The actual location of this file will differ depending on where you've got your sim installed. But there are two changes that I've made. Whether these are the correct values, well, whether the first one's a correct value, I don't know. I changed it because I remember doing this back in the FSX and prepared days, particularly when it comes to getting aircraft to play well with FS economy. The first one that I changed was line number 8, the fuel flow scaler. By default, it's, or as it comes from the developer, it's set to 1.5. What that means is that it burns an absolute shitload of fuel. What you can see is that we're currently burning, at least according to this meter down here, just under 20 gallons each side, which is maybe a little bit more than what the real thing does, but it's much better than what it was. So I changed it back to 0.85. Whether that's perfect, I don't know, but it's closer to matching what FS economy would expect anyway. So yeah, and what I'll do is just come off the power a little bit, just bring the props back as well. I might run sort of a 3124 or something like that. So a fuel flow scaler changed from 1.5 to 0.85 gives me a fuel flow that I think is more accurate. The other one that we changed is this one down here. So line number 69. What a great line number. Fuel air auto mixture. By default, that has a value of 0, which means it's switched off. The developer, in their own documentation, suggests that you switch it on. Now you can do that at sim level, so for all aircraft auto mixture. I don't like to do that. Or you can do it aircraft by aircraft, which is what I've done here. So it's always on for this aircraft, but always off for everything else. So I don't want to make a change in my sim just for one aircraft if I don't have to. Or I don't want to make it, I don't want to make a global change just for one aircraft. That's what I meant to say. Okay, so this way I get, auto mixture just for this aircraft and the rest are left alone. So that's some changes in the engines.cfg file. There may be others that other people have made. I don't know. I'll link to a page, or it's not a page, it's like 15 pages at the time of making this video of issues that people are reporting in the first handful of days since this thing has been released. Now, one thing you'll notice about the autopilot, I've got 15000 plugged in as selected. The autopilot says 15000. If you read the dial, it's holding 148. That's the pressure altitude. So the autopilot holds the pressure altitude, which that's not correct. It's not what it should do. So that's an issue, and it's been reported by a number of people. In terms of our airspeed, we're sort of tazzing at about about 206, something like that. You can push it a little bit higher than that, but that's okay. We're doing a ground speed of just under 200, so we've got a lightish crosswind, sort of from the northwest at this point. So that's that. What else can I tell you in terms of first impressions? We've talked about the textures. I like them in general. There may be specific areas of the aircraft which aren't perfect, but I haven't noticed them. I'll leave that for others to do. The sounds, mixed bag. I'm not a huge fan of the sounds. I'd kind of like sounds to be better. We've looked at the mods to the config file, the autopilot stuff, the tablet we looked at earlier. It's okay for what it is at the moment. If that's like, I don't find that particularly useful. I mean, I've got all that stuff on on the GTN, I guess. So for me, I mean, this part could be potentially useful, but again, as I mentioned at the start, it's kind of a bit awkward. What happens if I actually click this mid-flight? Oh yeah, okay. I can take different views. Okay, I can see some value in that. Can I do anything else? Oh yeah, all right. I can probably be able to take some interesting sort of screenshots from here. We get a different look at the texturing, I suppose. Yeah, the glass is dirty. Some people will like that, some will not. I'd like an option. It's a little bit overdone for mine. I'd like to be able to switch it off. Yeah, we'll just scroll around the outside of the aircraft here, folks, while we can. The pilot's gone invisible, interestingly enough. Oh, I've lost my ability to... I've gone too far. Alright, jump back inside. Folks, I might join you next for the approach, I think, into Passos. I think I've covered just about everything that I sort of has caught my attention in the first couple of flights here. As I said, there will be more that others have found, and there will be a link to the issue list that's sitting on AvSim for those of you who are sort of on the fence about wanting to buy this aircraft. If you want to know, what everyone else is finding before you make that purchase, that's fair enough. A bit of due diligence. There'll be a link to that in the description for you. Anyway, I'll shut up for now. I'll see you for the approach into Passos. Alright, making an approach into Passos, folks, down through 6,000. Around about just under 11 miles to run to touchdown at this point. So, what can I say about this aircraft that I haven't already? I haven't really talked too much about the flying characteristics. And while I've got Georgie engaged and doing such a great job here, it's a bit difficult to talk about flying characteristics. It's a very stable aircraft, in my experience anyway. And as I think I mentioned at the start, I had to muck around a little bit with my controller settings to artificially make this aircraft feel a little heavier and a little more... It was a little bit twitchy at the start. And I may have gone too far, I don't know. This is one of the joys of having different controllers and different sensitivities and preferences as well. That comes into it. I've never flown a Cessna 414 or even this class of aeroplane, so I can't tell you what it's supposed to feel like. I'll give Georgie a break at this point. Your damper can come off. We'll head towards the field from this point. We're around about 7 miles away. Not too bad in terms of profile. We're under flap extension speed. We can get our first stage of flap coming out below about 170 or something like that. So we'll take first stage of flap. Not a significant movement there. Pitch moment is what I meant to say. I'll head towards the field, which will be out here in this direction. My little one decides that she wants to chime in with her impressions of the aircraft. I don't speak fluent dog, so I'm not exactly sure what she's commenting on. But I'm sure that she's saying you've missed a whole lot of things, old fella. And that will be absolutely the case, folks. What you're seeing are my first impressions or initial impressions. What got my attention. And there will be others who have who are finding different things. And there's some stuff that I've absolutely left out. I fully acknowledge that. Where's our strip? Somewhere down here, about 5 miles. Somewhere out in this direction. Anyone seeing a strip? We'll keep flying and hope that we find one. I reckon there's one there. What do you reckon? Little one, what do you reckon? Do you want to chime in? When I need you to speak, you've gone silent on me. That looks like a field to me. Down through, about 110 knots, a little bit slow actually. They need to give us a little bit more juice. We'll take second stage of flap and gear in a little bit. I found that approaching at around about 90 works pretty well with this aircraft. It is remarkably easy to land, and that's either fantastic flight modelling from the developer, or I've just got the controller's settings configured in a way that makes it too easy. And it does feel a little bit too easy to land, if anything. But who knows? It could be an easy to land aircraft in real life. I don't know. Haven't flown it. Yeah, there's our runway. We'll take second stage and we'll take gear as we do that. Just continue to slow now. We'll take final stage of flap as we turn final here into Passos, Brazil. If you hail from this part of the world, give us a shout in the comments. You can even use Portuguese if you like. I have Google Translate. We'll take final stage of flap now. Looking pretty good profile wise. Yeah, look, she's very solid in the handling, right? Needs a little bit of trimming, admittedly. We're going to land into a headwind, not really, but that's alright. She'll be right. So there's about 95 knots, just re-trimming. Looks like runway 33 here at Passos, folks. There's 90 knots, little high, retrim, just ignore that tree on final, a little slow now, we'll come back to idle over the numbers, this is about there, just slowly bleed off the speed, into the round end, into the flare, just hold it off and it'll float. There we go, beautiful. See, remarkably easy to land. Makes me look like a half-decent virtual pilot, folks. Alright, we'll backtrack towards the ramp, I think. You know, flaps coming up. Yeah, so first impressions. I think a mixed bag is probably the simplest assessment. I like it. I don't hate it. There are some people that I've read some other opinions of people that are not happy. The whole pay-to-play beta thing, yeah, I don't know how that sits. I've chosen to participate in this one and taken the developer on faith. And if they fix and improve the stuff that's being reported during the public beta program, then it'll be a good outcome. But yeah, there is an element of trust involved there. So look, yeah, mixed bag, but I'd say overall positive. I have enjoyed flying it. It has a few bugs and quirks and whatever, and there's some stuff that I clearly have ignored. But yeah, overall, on balance, I'm on the positive side of the fence. Let me put it that way, folks. Here we go. We'll find a spot to park. There'll be a Kodiak here. There's always a Kodiak at every field I visit. Righto. Completely unrealistic looking building there on the left-hand side. The ones on the right could sort of pass. It's a nice quiet airport, isn't it? Passos, Brazil. What happens in Passos, Brazil? Can someone tell me? Anyway, we'll park in front here of the hangar. Come to a stop. I want to thank everyone for your company as always. It is your support, your encouragement is appreciated. I hope that this was an informative and maybe even a little bit entertaining sort of look at the aircraft. And yeah, first impressions, the Flysimware Chancellor 414A.